This is the Giraffes Don't Eat Steak podcast, a show that brings you marketing stories, tips, hints, and much more. A treat for those who want to succeed in business or marketers who just want to learn. Hello, Alex.
Hello, how's it going? Have you got
I,
any jelly squash in the garden?
I've got seeds. I've got my little seeds are sprouting. I've got three little plants growing, but I've still got three gem squash that I smuggled in from my last South Africa trip. But so
Nice.
I'm spacing out how I eat them because it will be a while till my little seeds grow any gem squash.
Very nice. Isn't that highly illegal?
Shh.
Ex-
Yeah, maybe
taking-
I shouldn't have said it on the podcast, but
Yeah. Uh, well, it just came to my mind because you said South Africa, and it just popped to my mind, and now I need to say it. But yesterday, I was in a taxi, and the car came up right up behind us in the traffic light, and there was like they shouted something at a motorcyclist, and the motorcyclist stopped like right by my window, and because the other taxi was right behind us, and they started shouting, and he pulled a gun out,
oh my
and
goodness.
yeah, and he's like put his head into the window, like, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna see someone get shot. I'm gonna see someone get shot. Luckily, he didn't shoot. He just put his gun back in like his front bit, like a cowboy gangster guy. Then jumped on his motorbike and went off. And I was like, oh, whoa, what was that?
Sure. So when you told me you're moving to Colombia, those were the images I had in my brain. And of course, you've been there over a year, and that's never happened. And now it's there. I'm like,
That's happened. Yeah, that was kind of crazy. And so I was like, right, well, let's not get angry at people when we're driving in the car because you don't know.
yeah, I've got really bad road rage. I should definitely not drive in Colombia.
Well, you're from South Africa. Well, that's not an uncommon thing, I guess, maybe.
Sure. Oh wow, that's to know if it's exciting or scary.
Well, I was actually like, I wasn't, for some reason, I wasn't like scared. I thought, oh, I'm going to film this. I don't know why I thought that. But then immediately, as I said that, and I got my phone, I was like, oh no, he could definitely see into the car here. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to pretend that I'm not seeing
Not a great plan.
it. He'd imagine, don't film me.
Oh wow. Sure. That is yeah, that's crazy scary. I don't know what to say to that.
Anyway, swiftly moving on. Well, another thing about Colombia that I've noticed from a marketing point of view,
Okay.
having been in the UK, and I guess the UK is maybe one of the more progressive countries in the world, probably not quite as progressive as the United States in terms of generational change. I don't know. We'll see. Let's have this topic. But in the Colombia society is a lot more macho than it is in the UK.
Yeah.
And I'm a lot of the marketing, especially on like billboards and things around in the streets, is just has a huge focus on sex in terms of selling products. It doesn't matter what it is, the gym, clothes, hotels. They also have all of those like one night hotel things here.
Few hours, not one night.
Few hours. Few minutes for some people, who knows? Um, telephones, food, is everywhere. Everywhere you look, there's an element of sex appeal in the marketing and the advertising that they're doing.
Okay.
And it's not a shock to me, but it's definitely a difference to what I see in the UK. In the UK, I think they focus on other values, I guess, now a bit more. Obviously, it's still within the realm, but it's not quite as strong as it is here. So I was wondering what your thoughts are on it in terms of, does sex still sell? Like there was definitely an era where it was the thing. And I just wanted your opinion on, you think if it's changing, if you think it's changing with, the values and what's important in the world now, or it's still there, and does it work for every product? Yeah, sorry, there's a million questions there.
It's an interesting one. I think sex sells, and I think that's based on our brains, right? Our primitive brain is looking for three things: safety, food, and water. That's like automatic response. So that's why, you know, fluffy dogs and babies do really well because it makes us feel safe, right? So there's a comfort feeling. So when you see pictures of children or fluffy dogs, babies, nice parks, it's all feelings of safety. So it's hitting that number. Food, gorgeous food pics work every time. So think families around a picnic table, all that gives you the safety angle and the food angle. So, and then sex is the third one, right? We all have the primitive need to procreate.
Mm-hmm.
So I think based on just the human brain, those three things are a no-brainer. What's happened though is regulation. And you've got regulators telling us that we shouldn't do that, and it's can't do that. And it's an interesting dilemma. Um, I think if there was freedom, full freedom, I think people would still put the sexy bikinied girl on the Porsche because in the mind of the consumer, the Porsche is going to come with the sexy bikinied girl, right? That's the connection. And it worked. It worked for years.
That's true. That's true. I mean, I guess there's two things to think about is, well, I think first of all, yes, it creates a tension, right? You see it, you're like, ooh, and your instant primitive needs are triggered, and you pay attention. Probably doesn't even matter if you're male or female. You see
Doesn't
it either
matter.
boom, and you're attracted to whatever that is. I guess the question is it just that, or is it more than that? Is it just are you gathering a lot of attention and eyeballs, but it's not really bringing in qualified business or leads? Yeah, is it just the attention thing, or I guess it really depends on the product, because you could be a bank and you could put a really sexy ad on, and everyone would look at it and be crazy, but it would do you no favors for your brand image, right?
No, exactly. I mean, there's some businesses, banks, insurance companies, financial services, where you want seriousness. You want to know that, when I give you my money, when I give you my business, that you're looking after it properly. And, someone walking around in a bikini is not giving me that feeling of, you know what you're doing. Whereas the Porsche example, and maybe that's the opposite, could attract a lot of looky-loos that could never afford the Porsche.
No, exactly.
So even though it's getting a lot of eyeballs and maybe even a lot of people coming to the Porsche shop, is it called a Porsche shop? I don't know. Probably a lot of them are looky-loos that will never afford it.
Yeah.
And so then, is that the right marketing tactic? There is a lot to drill down into. Primitively, for me, it stands, right? It works. Even if you have a totally different, when I was at university, I had a best friend, and her and I, luckily, always total opposites in our choice of guys, right? The guys we were attracted to, luckily, I think it saved our friendship for the 4 years we were at university
But
together.
so you weren't fighting over the
We
same guy.
never, like, there was never a problem because we had different tastes. But I don't think you necessarily had to put that exact taste on an ad, for example, to work for us, because there is
Generic
a
desire.
generic feeling of attractiveness, right? That works.
Yeah, depends on the culture, I guess, but
Absolutely culturally. I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah.
Because definitely what's attractive in the UK is completely opposite to, I guess, what's attractive in Colombia and in South Africa for that matter. It
Exactly.
would not be the same at all.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's all about, and it's the same on, doesn't matter what type of visuals you use. I think the basic to marketing is this is what you buy, this is what you get.
Yeah.
So I was doing I was reading an article about this as well the other day, and like Lynx, for example, you buy Lynx, the spray.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The
So
ads that had the woman all chasing the guy down the street, that
yeah,
one.
exactly. So this is just an extreme example, but what you buy is the Lynx, and what you get is the attraction from the girls. That's what they're saying, right?
That's the selling. Yeah, that's the
That's
message.
the selling thing. But it doesn't matter if it's um, insurance. This is what you buy. This is what you get, the peace of mind, right? So
Yeah.
it's always buy and the get. So I think that the question is it's again, obviously the audience, I think we could probably say, yes, sex still does sell, but in the appropriate position, right?
Yeah.
Appropriate brand, product, etc., etc. And is that what they really want long term? So you could say, like, if you buy this car, you'll get all these girls around the car. But really, maybe they actually long term they want the car that is high performance and cheaper or whatever, and blah, blah, blah,
Hmm.
whatever it is.
And I
Depends on
think,
what.
yeah, and I think there is also a consumer mind shift change that's happening in terms of what's important, right? So whether they want the girls, right, in the Lynx example, or
By the
they
way,
actually,
I'm talking about the girls for buying for men, but it happens the other way around as well.
of course,
Yeah.
I'm just using your example, but also whether, or you're thinking about, I actually want something that's sustainable, that's going to keep me sweat free, that's not chewing up the environment. So I think there is a consumer move
Yeah.
to other aspects, and this is back down to understand your target market, right? This is absolutely back down to understand your target market. What are their motivations?
Yeah.
If it's still going to be the sex thing, great, then that's what it is. But have they moved on? Have they shifted? Is there something else that they're looking for that you need to talk to,
Yeah.
which
No,
are the
that's
better
exactly,
impact?
no, exactly. That's exactly right. Again, I was reading something the other day where they're saying that the new sex is activism, um, which I think for a portion of people in a part of the world, because let's be honest, in some part of the world it's completely different. Depends on where the stage and age of a country,
Yeah,
and what's important to those people. I would say from maybe a UK, US point of view, particularly some of the younger generations are, from like the Greta Thunbergs of the world, their shift is their focus is on climate change and activism because they can see that's the most important thing for them in their lives at the moment. So if
yeah,
you have um, a big coffee company or something, the fact that when you buy the coffee, you're supporting sustainable coffee growing and fair pricing for growers and low emissions on through the supply chain of the business, for example. That could be a focus of the ad rather than having a really cool girl drinking the coffee
okay.
and or guy, and having the girls or guys interested in that person because they're drinking the latest, coolest mocha chapa coochie choochie poochie coffee, whatever it is.
Yeah. And I mean, I think what you're also saying is important because for some countries, the basic need is not starving, right? It's
Exactly.
poverty. they're not going to be interested in whether you saved a tree by buying this coffee. So the need there is, I'm starving. This is going to fill me up. It's going to give me energy, whatever it is. And so your messaging has to reflect that. So I think, yeah, it's all back to what we always talk about, Alex. You need to really understand your target audience and what their needs are and what's gonna make them pay attention and buy from you.
Yeah, exactly. So mini quiz. Well, I say it's such a mini quiz. It's just one question. What year do you think was the first? What year do you think was the first ad with a sexualized item or something sexual in the ad?
So what, a print ad, TV ad, like how far back are we going?
Just history. It doesn't matter the medium.
1974.
1974.
Mm.
You were 100 years too late. It was
Okay.
1871.
1871. And what was the ad?
Well, can you guess what industry do you think it was?
Food.
Yeah. No, but it is a consumable item.
Cars.
No.
No, there wasn't cars in 1871.
Yeah. Tobacco.
Oh, of course.
And
I should
well,
have known that one.
yeah, I was going to say to you, it's actually really obvious, but it's only obvious. Then I think no, it's because you know. But once you know, you think, oh, that is
Then
obvious.
it is obvious. Oh, it
They were
makes sense.
the biggest players in marketing for a long time.
Well,
Tobacco.
in lots of stuff that we now consider bad, doctors recommend the cigarette, or I mean, a lot of the marketing rules that we implement now come from looking at all the stuff the cigarette companies did wrong, like lie.
I wonder if I can. Does it work if I share my screen so we can show you and the users what the first ad was with?
We'll show it. I'll describe it for our listeners.
Okay, so I'll just share. Can you see my screen?
Yes. Oh dear, listeners, there is a very naked girl. Um, looks like she's walking on
I
sea
think
or
she's coming out of the
something.
sea. She's coming out of the sea. She's got some kind of almost like a Greek robe kind of thing around her,
Draped, but not really covering much.
and you can see her breasts. That.
Yes, she's in full view.
But I can't
And
see any tobacco reference in there other than the name Pearl, which I guess is the name of the
the
company.
brand.
Yeah.
She's not even holding a cigarette. There's like nothing.
There's nothing. I guess if we want to really stretch our imagination, we could maybe say that the thing draped around her, the darker part, is a tobacco leaf.
No,
Which I think would
no, it
really.
does not look like a tobacco leaf.
So
All
yeah,
right.
this was the first one, and apparently it was an absolute success.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
We're a bit more critical now in terms of what we think is acceptable. I mean, children would have seen that. Oh my goodness. No. Even I'm blushing. Don't show me boobs.
So,
So,
in conclusion,
yes,
what do you think? Does sex still sell?
back to my answer that I give every time. It depends on your target audience. I think for some target audiences and some products, so the combination, yes. But we've got much more sustaining audiences now, and people think differently. So you need to be aware of where people's minds are. What do you think?
I,
What's your vote?
uh, my answer is yes, it still does, but in a different realm, as in there's a huge number of other appealing factors to other people that have
Yeah.
long-term benefits for the business because it for that reinforces advocacy rather than just lust, I guess, for the.
And actually, that's a
Um,
good point that we didn't cover, right? Is you need to think about the long-term brand implication is what do people, if we think about that ad you just showed, right? What is the brand impact? What do people think about what your brand is? And is that what you want? Is that how you want people to think about your brand? Because I think that's a deeper consideration now that people understand longevity of brands. Look how long that ad has been floating around. I'm sure those Pearl people are long gone.
mhm.
Um, but that ad is still floating around, right? And anyone who works for can we say that's why Pearl doesn't exist anymore? I don't know. But you know what I mean? It's like that hangs around now. And is that what you want to be known for? Is that the legacy your company wants to leave?
I know that's a very good point. That's a very good point. And in today's age, I think again, culturally depends. And like you're saying, so in some countries it's more important, finding what the next meal is opposed to should I be using this plastic bottle?
Yeah.
Um, there's some very, very different mindsets. So I think yes, it sells, but depends on your audience, depends on the culture, depends where you are, and depends on your long-term goals and your short-term goals as well.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for bringing up this awkward conversation, Alex. I think it's probably been our most awkward one, right?
Well, I mean, it started off with a gun incident
Yes,
followed
that's
by sex. But I thought maybe if I bring up the gun one, it might make the sex part less shocking for you. So
yeah. Let's not let you choose the topics going forward. Can we do that? All right. Anyone listening, please leave us some comments. Do you like Alex's choice of topics, or do you want to come back to mine?
did,
Let's see what the audience votes.
did the sex sell? That's the question. Might say a lot about our audience one way or another.
Yes. Let's see which way it goes. Thanks, Alex. Good chatting to you as always. Until next time.
Bye bye. That wraps up this episode of Giraffes Don't Eat Steak. Thanks for joining us. I hope you found value in our discussion and got some new ideas to apply to your own business. Tune in next week for another round of marketing insights and inspiration. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. We appreciate you listening. Catch you next time on Giraffes Don't Eat Steak.